Trying to keep the light out of the video, but we'll see. How's everybody tonight? When you jump in, if you don't mind, just tell me where you're from so I can keep an eye on how many states we hit tonight. Hope everybody's doing well. Been thinking all day about how to do this, and we've got YouTube and Facebook going. I think we're probably going to go ahead and do this once every, I don't know, maybe every night. I don't know. I haven't decided yet. I think we're going to break it into some fly tying. And obviously, if you have questions, let me know, whether it's fly tying or just fishing in general. It's going to be fun. I don't know. We'll play it by ear, see how long it goes, see how many questions people have. Love that you guys are in here. It keeps me, like I said in the email, this is the time of night I start talking to myself anyway, so I'd rather talk to you guys than to myself. So you see me drinking, it's iced tea. Promise it's not beer. Although after today, maybe I need it. So tonight, going to tie a couple quick steelhead patterns. Good spring steelhead patterns, especially. Probably they can fish pretty well any time of the year, but just a couple quick, easy flies. When it comes to fly design, I really think that the best way, I guess not the best way to judge a fly, 5 key factors. 1, obviously, it catches fish. 2, I want it easy to tie. 3, I want it quick to tie. I want it to be durable, and I want it cheap to tie. If I can get those 5 things out of a fly, that's the pinnacle of fly design, in my opinion. And these 2 flies tonight, they hammer all those key points: cheap, durable, quick, they catch fish, and easy to tie. So, in my opinion, if you can get those 5 things out of a fly, that's perfect. So we're going to start off with the Estes egg. Some companies call it a crystal egg. This was invented by our good buddy Jeff Andrews. Bear invented this pattern, I believe, in the late 80s. Might have been early to mid 90s, but somewhere in there. And what we're going to start with is a Mustad C67S, size 8. Any scud hook will work, but this one's my favorite. I'll tell you what hook I don't like for egg flies, and that's a 105. I know if you take a pull, that's probably one of the top egg hooks out there. I do not like TMC 105s. And I'll tell you a quick little lesson on why. 2 years ago, I ran out of these Mustad C67s, and I had about 400 Tiemco 105s laying around, which has been the standard in egg hook forever. Threw it on. I started tying these. I tied maybe, 50 on these one night. And I gave half to myself in my box, half to Jake. And that's what they were eating that day, chartreuse Estes eggs. And I lost so many stinking fish that day. And about halfway through the day, I text Jake, who was, if you don't know who he is. And I text Jake halfway through the day, and I said, hey, how are you fishing Estes eggs? And he said, yeah. And I said, are you having problems with pullouts? He's like, yeah, dude, we can't keep a fish on. Every never been 5 cents. So C67S Mustad is what I use. Uni-thread, 6/0, fire orange. That's what the thread's going to be. Curtis, it's actually a Dynaking. I think everybody makes a great vise. I think that Dynaking, though, for what I use it for and how I tie and the different size hooks that I can use, I can tie everything from a 26 to a 5/0 on this thing. I love this vise. And the other thing I like about Dynaking is I have had this vise for 22 years now, and I've never done a thing with it. All right. So if you have any questions, YouTube, I might have a tough time typing because it's on my computer halfway across the table. Facebook, I might be able to answer those a little quicker, but I can do that verbally. YouTube, I guess I can do it verbally there too, but it has a typing option there. So I guess either one, I can talk. Forgot about that. It's been a long day. So we got Uni-thread, 6/0, fire orange. And what we're going to do is we're going to start this back at the bend, We're going to take 3 pieces of pearl crystal flash. So just a simple pearl crystal flash, 3 pieces. We're going to tie that in at the bend. And we're going to cut that. All right. One thing about fly design, one thing about a lot of things that we do, there is no science in most things. You like your Dynaking too, John? Love it. Good. A lot of people want to get down to, why 3 crystal flash instead of 5? And how long should that be? Should it be a 1/2 inch or 1/4 inch on the crystal flash? I don't look. I look at fly design is if the fish are measuring whether that crystal flash is 1/4 inch or 1/2 inch, we have bigger problems on our hands. I'll never forget a story back when I kind of first started fly fishing. It was in the St. Joe River Valley Fly Fishing, great club here in South Bend. And my good buddy Mike Durdak, who passed away, he was one of the best mentors I ever had in fishing. Mike passed away the year I started guiding. But Mike and I were sitting at a club meeting, and Popes was speaking. He had just put out a book for Orvis on entomology. And Dick was talking about fly imitations and fly design and imitating different mayflies and flies. And Dick said, look, if the mayfly has 2 tails, then by golly, your imitation of that mayfly should have 2 tails. And if that mayfly has 3 tails, then your imitation should have 3 tails. And I remember Mike looked at me and he said, so what do they think that sharp thing sticking down is? And he got the look of death from Dick Popes. I turned red because I was a young guy at the time, and I didn't want to embarrass anybody or myself. And but Mike hit it on the head. I mean, if we're worried about 1/4 inch or 1/2 inch on the crystal flash, we've got bigger problems on our hands. So I have a mark, cut it off. It's probably about 3/4 inch. So that's the tail. And that's the tail of Mike Durdak really making Dick Popes upset. So next we have the body. Body is just Estes. 2 different types of Estes there, but it's chartreuse Estes. I tie this fly in chartreuse. We tie it in pink, and we tie it in peach. So we're going to pull a little bit off the end just so we don't get any bulk. We're going to wrap that, tie it down at the bend. Now, I want to cover every bit of that shank with this fire orange. And the reason I want to do that is because we're going to have a little bit of spacing between these wraps of Estes. It's going to show that red through. Now, with this chartreuse, I don't think it's quite as dynamic. But when you get a peach Estes egg tied correctly, you have that fire orange showing through, it really looks like you really get that halo effect. So we do just 3 wraps of Estes. That is it. Tie it off. One thing you'll notice about me, I do not use the rotary tool a whole lot. I only have a handful of patterns that I use the rotary tool for, especially when it's 3 wraps of Estes. It's going to take you longer to pull that over, and it's just a lot easier that way. Hey, Dan Fisher, how are you, pal? It's so nice to see you guys on here tonight. Like I said, 9 o'clock, this is the time I start talking to myself, so it's better to talk to someone else. And hopefully you guys have some questions we can throw around. After these are over, I always get people text me and email me and send me messages on Facebook, different questions. Ask away here so I can answer them, because I can promise you if you're thinking it, someone else is as well. All right, next thing, we got egg yarn. I just got done saying that I'm not a perfectionist about, scientist about what materials to use, but with this pattern, I love Wapsi's egg yarn. I don't care for McFly foam for this pattern. McFly foam is great for a lot of other egg patterns, but with this stuff, I like Wapsi. So we pulled a real thin veil of egg yarn, and we're going to tie that in at the eye. And the reason we pulled it thin is so we can pull the other side around, and that will allow us to get a nice smooth head. That's obviously for the fisherman, not for the fish. Again, if the fish are worried about us building a nice dynamic head on a fly, we have bigger problems, folks. and we whip finish. That's it. Cut that egg yarn off to just past the bend of the hook. And that's it. So let me hold that up here. And that's the fly. Super simple. This one is on YouTube already. So if you jump on our YouTube channel at some point, I have a tutorial for this. My plan is this week to try to do some more tutorials. I know everybody's sitting at home, day in, day out. And I know looking at the emails and texts and Facebook feeds, a lot of people are starting to tie again. They haven't tied in a long time. That's really cool. So I'm hoping I can feed into that. One last thing on that fly that I didn't do, and I don't do this on a lot of my flies. I don't add head. I very rarely add head cement to any fly. That one, unless I build up a really dynamic head, a thick, big, giant head, I don't add any head cement. I feel like it's a step that's really not needed. Now, if you don't whip finish, if you just do a half hitch, then you probably need head cement. But I whip finish everything. And with whip finish, unless I build up a giant head, I don't bother with head cement. I just never have. So that's that one. Back to fly time. So obviously a lot of guides like myself are out of work. Jake and I were talking about this the other night. We got lucky. We got a month of our season in. I really feel bad for the guides in northern Michigan that got zero steelhead fishing in this spring so far and probably won't get any in. We got lucky. We got a month in, so that really helped us out a lot. But we still lost about half of our steelhead season. We're not the only ones hurting, though. Fly shops, small retail fly shops are really hurting. Do us all a favor. Everybody's tying right now. You're all going through materials like crazy. Don't order from Amazon. Order your materials from the local shops in your area. Look, those are the folks that when you have a question about river levels that you can call. You can't call Amazon. You've got to keep these local retail, small retail fly shops, the mom and pop fly shops in business. And the way to do that is to spend money right now with them. That's my plug for fly shops. But I'm telling you, when it comes time to, call about shops that are going to answer those questions for you, help out those shops. They all need your help right now. Yeah. So Steve, the egg veil. Yeah. So it's only on top. We pulled that up there for you. It's hard to see the lighting there, but it's only on top. I don't bother to put it all the way around. The thing about this fly, it looks terrible dry. It really does. I mean, you look at this thing in a fly box and you're like, what the heck is that? Because it really does. It looks terrible fly. Terrible dry. Wet, it's an unbelievable egg imitation. I mean, we do use a lot of beads nowadays, like everybody else in the world. Before beads, I would say that the Peach Estaz egg was the best imitation of an egg that there was. Jake, you agreed, it looks like? I mean, the Peach Estaz egg, when it was tied correctly and it had that fire orange thread showing through that veil, it's unbelievable. I mean, it really is. Tie these up. And again, I've got them on the YouTube channel. Like I said, they don't look anything like anything that would catch dry. But you get that wet, and that is one heck of a fly. Ken, has COVID-19 completely shut you down? Yes. It has completely shut us down in Michigan. And Indiana, we really have to be careful. Hey, I was, sitting talking with somebody today about all of it, and it's been very tough. Obviously tough financially, but tough emotionally too, man. This is my time of the year where I get to go out and hang out with my, some of my best friends in the world on the river. And not getting to do that on a daily basis is tough. But I just keep reminding myself that, Jake said it the other night, and it was absolutely true. We got a month of our steelhead season in, and a lot of guides got nothing in. And that's, we're fortunate. That's the way I look at it. I've got a video I'm in the middle of doing that is a thank you to so many folks that are probably on here right now. I mean, it's the outpouring of support for us has been unbelievable. We've had people already 2021 and try to pay completely ahead for all of 2021. And I don't really want anybody to do that because, to be quite honest, I'm not that great of a budgeter. But I mean, just the outpouring of support and the offer to do things like that. We had so many people that canceled early on, just out of what is now founded fear of what might happen, and they sent us full payment plus a tip. I mean, just we are so lucky that what we've built, and not it's amazing. Traveling around to shows, how many of our people that we fish with on a daily basis come up and they come to the show just to hang out and sit in the booth for an hour, and we're super lucky. But yeah, it has shut us down for the most part, Ken, and it sucks. I'm hoping this cold weather we're getting now really prolongs the run. The water got up to 57 yesterday. It's on its way down now. So my hope is that we still have quite a few fish around in May as long as this water temp keeps going down. And if that happens, as of now, Indiana, we are off our quarantine the 20th, Michigan the 30th. All right, let me do another one then. So this one, super simple pattern, steelhead. If you have not, get on it. The most prolific insect in our streams are caddis. And steelhead gorge on caddis. They just do. So we carry 1, 2, 3 different, Jake, is that right? 3 different caddis patterns. Might be a 4th, but we carry at least 3 different caddis patterns. One's a little larger, one's a lot brighter, and then this one. I think this was probably the original one that we started carrying. So what we have here, 2457, size 8, scud hook. So it's a Tiemco 2457 size 8 scud hook. You can use any scud hook you like. That's the one I typically use. Although today I just ordered a bunch of Daiichis for this pattern. Again, Unithread 6/0 black. I switched to Unithread when they first came out, and I just love this stuff. It's such a great thread. All right, so we've got Unithread. Let me find it. There it is. We've got small, oval, gold French tinsel. There we go. I don't know if you can see that. We're going to tie that in at the bend. We go a little past the bend on this one. I like this fly to be a little long. Oh, that's tied in. We take hare's ear dubbing, caddis green. I'll tell you a quick little secret about dubbing. It helps keep that dubbing on there. I guess nowadays maybe it would be a brighter idea to have a glass of water sitting beside you. Not my iced tea, but a glass of water. The day, I tie them in about a minute. So one thing about the way I tie every day, I sit at this table and I tie 8 hours a day. I tie from the time I drop them off at school till the time I pick them up. When they go to bed about 8, I tie until normally about 11. So the way I tie is at the end of the year, I mean, we guide every month of the year, but there's kind of an end of the year, which is normally Christmas for us. At that time, I inventory all of our flies. I write down how many of each thing we need. And typically a fly like this that we do use a lot and lose a lot, I just tie this fly all day long. So I'll tie a couple hundred of these in a day. I really think, and I'm sure you've all heard this before, but if you haven't, here we go. If you're going to tie a fly, don't tie 1 or 2, tie at least a dozen. 12 beside it, and number 12 will be so much better than number 1. The way I do most of our tying is I tie all winter. I don't do a whole lot of tying during the season, during our heavy season. So it's sometimes a year from the time I tie this fly until the next one. And even some of my patterns that I have tied in a year, when I go back to retie them, they're not that great to start. It might take number 12 before they really look like I want them to look. The beautiful thing is that the fish really don't care. That's all on us. It's how to look. The fish a lot of times like the worst looking fly. So we're going to take that old template. We're going to rib that fly, tie it off near the head. Leave yourself plenty of space at the head. Next thing we have is a whole bag of peacock herl. And I've got about 5 strands of peacock herl already cut. And we're going to tie those in off the dubbing, and we're going to wrap it. The reason I like to have 5 or so strands is because I can only do 3 wraps and it's a full head. I don't have to sit and fumble with a bunch of peacock herl that is fairly fragile. So if I don't have to fumble with it, wrap and wrap and wrap, have it all fall off, that's why I use 5 or 6 strands. Then I only have to wrap 3 times. I don't have to mess with it, get my fingers all over it. Whip finish,